We are live from the Nashville Palace where the stars drop in. We talk about music, we talk about hunting, fishing, whatever we've got going on. Nashville Palace ties to just about every genre you could think of. We have a group of brothers here today who have founded a social media page that is just Country Rebel. It's unbelievable, man. And I love it because you guys keep it country, you keep it country lifestyle. And me and Barrett Hobbs are just glad to have you here with us today. Welcome to Nashville Palace Podcast.
Thank you, brother. Great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks,
both
Barrett,
for having us down.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Bobby.
Sure, definitely.
You know, when you think country and you think, okay, how are we going to kick this thing off with the real feel of country lifestyle, music, the outdoors? We were kind of kicking this around, and I thought, man, what a better group, a current partner that we've had years of success with. Our brands are integrated, you know, not because of what we've done, but because of the platform you guys have built. So it just seemed like a natural, you know, to have you guys in to help us kick it off. So thanks so much for being here, and look forward to chatting with you and letting new folks know that maybe that don't quite understand the Country Rebel world and what all y'all are involved in. You're a very complicated company to say, here's what you are. And I was kind of grinning because Bobby kicking it off. I'm thinking, how are you going to describe this? You know, and it's pretty tough. So thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. It's great to be here. And, you know, we really appreciate our partnership with the Palace and all the properties within the hospitality group. It's been a great few years of partnership. And I think, you know, it's one of our favorite places to be. That's part of the why it works.
I love the smell of it. I love the look of it. I love everything about it. I mean, I could smell the honky tonk in the air right now.
Nothing like a good smell of a honky tonk.
Oh, it's unbeatable.
You guys started this thing, what was it, 2014 I read? Is that right?
2014, yeah.
And your followers now are like 880-something thousand followers or something like that?
So that's just Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's actually one of our smaller platforms.
Really?
So we've got 10 million people on Facebook, 10 million strong in our community on Facebook. We've got a couple million on TikTok. Instagram, like you hinted at, it's about 800 and something thousand. And YouTube, I think we're just about to hit 700,000 people on YouTube. So
wow. What gave you guys this idea to start this? Was it just something you started and then by coincidence it just got bigger and better? Because what you do is so enjoyable to me because it's real and it's real stories and it's almost like news, but then it's almost like comedy, and then there's so much mixed in. And if you're a country music fan or a country person, I mean, it's the right platform for you. It is.
Yeah. I mean, be honest, it kind of came about through a come to Jesus moment and, really trying to find our way and figuring out, what we were meant to do and more importantly, what community we were meant to be a part of. And so my brother and I, Kevin here, we've been working together since we were pulling weeds in the yard, literally. And our mom had a rule: you couldn't come inside unless you pulled 3 weeds.
It's not like we're in a house.
Yeah, you had to pull 3. And so, we've been working together for a long time, and we've done all kinds of things and trying to be entrepreneurial and start businesses and figure out how to, we both kind of been drawn to online and digital stuff from a young age, and computer games and video games and all that kind of stuff. And so we kind of grew up, in the early 90s when all that stuff was starting to come about. And we just found our way with just being in online business and finally finding something that we were passionate about and something that we could be committed to with our heart 110%. And it's funny how once you do that things start to just click, and that's.
Well, y'all certainly have clicked. That's an understatement of the show. I think it's important, you introduced your brother, and we've got Darin who has been talking, and, you guys are from California. So now you're in Ashland City, Tennessee. For those that don't know, that's a little town right outside of downtown Nashville, about 15 miles or so. But when you're in Ashland City, you feel like you're 100 miles away from Nashville in a lot of ways. So I think, tell us a little bit about your upbringing, and kind of rewind from where we are today with Country Rebel to when you guys, were little California rebels. Tell us, the backstory.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the, kind of standard things you would think of kids being raised in California. We grew up skating and surfing and getting into trouble and all that kind of good stuff. And then, to Darin's point, we fell in love with the country music community out there in California. And not a lot of people realize how strong the community is out there. And part of the reason is because it's such a military-driven city. You've got the Marines at Camp Pendleton. You've got the Navy and Navy SEALs. You got the Air Force Base at Miramar. So while country music can be hit or miss out in certain parts of California, San Diego's got a very strong country music community.
And I think that would be surprising to people. Northern California, I can dig it, but Orange County and San Diego, that I don't know, Bobby, when you think San Diego, what do you think?
Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
Wales, Virginia. It's kind of, it is kind of a curveball though. And a lot of people obviously associate Northern California because of its strong agricultural presence. And, but the community in San Diego is hit or miss. Like you're either fanatical or you want nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. And so that makes the community a lot stronger. And, our mom growing up, like we always like to say she baptized us in 90s country.
Oh, yeah.
We were always riding around in the 85 Plymouth Voyager, light blue with the fake wood grain paneling on the sides,
peeling off.
The Clark Griswold special.
Hopping seat to seat, no seatbelt.
And it was, Clint Black, Reba, Alan Jackson,
Faith Hill.
Yeah, Faith Hill, all the great.
This Kiss.
One of the
So how far apart are you guys?
We're 2 years apart.
2 years apart. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of like me and some of my siblings. We were always, and usually the younger one learns from the older one how to get away with things instead of getting caught like the older one did.
Yeah, it's interesting, So Kevin's older, and then we have another older brother too. Mm. So I think by the time I came around, I could have gotten away with anything. Yeah, because
you were good at it.
Because or they were just tired.
Just beat them down.
It's just by that time it's just cruise control, I guess, on the third one. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So
I was that way. I was the last of four, and being the last of four, I got to watch the ones before me screw up or learn something. So I automatically learned it. So there was times where some of my screw ups, they were brand new, fresh screw ups. They wasn't a screw up that somebody before me had made.
You also learned how to get away with shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I learned how to get away with
the right thing to say, and it didn't hurt being the baby either. It didn't hurt.
Now, did y'all all in your age separation? Were y'all all in elementary school together at the same time? Were you lumped in?
So we're 2 years apart. So Kevin's 2 years older than me. I'm 40.
Okay.
42, 44.
So y'all were right in the thick of it.
Yeah. So, it was just close enough to make sure we weren't all in high school at the same time, which would have been interesting. Yes. But, we're close enough to obviously be pretty close, and not have too much of an age gap. So
did your mom, since she was so influential on the country music introduction for you guys, did she sing? Did she play music? Was she just a fan?
You know what? Our family, they have the voice of some kennel dogs, to be honest.
I appreciate that. Being born and raised in Nashville, I can't sing. I can't play instruments.
You ever heard a fork on a plate?
Yeah. That's it.
Great. But I mean, everyone's got their own unique gifts, and one of ours is putting forward and being able to market and promote and amplify the voice of people that do have one that deserves to be heard. So
yeah, having that ear, being able to recognize when somebody has that it factor and has that talent. And
so you guys are in San Diego, you're beating each other up as brothers.
Yeah.
Fast forward us a little bit to after your high school years, in the military and things like that. Tell us about that family.
Yeah. So Kevin and I we both went to the same college, Cal State Fullerton out there. We both have a degree in finance. And along the way there, that was kind of San Diego is its own little sphere. So in Southern California, you have San Diego, you have Orange County, you have LA, right? San Diego and LA, oil and vinegar, two different worlds. You're from San Diego, you don't like LA. LA, you don't really care for San Diego, or vice versa, especially when it comes to sport teams.
Padres and Dodgers.
Yes.
Padres versus Dodgers.
Right.
Used to be Chargers versus Raiders until all them bounced around. Chargers broke our hearts. Absolutely devastated.
Recovering Chargers fans.
But yeah, so after, kind of getting college degrees and not really knowing what we were going to do with our lives and all that, we were roommates up there as well. And our parents have always been separated. And so we were a lot closer to our dad up there. And so from that point forward, we started working on things on, hey, how do we figure out how to start a business and work online and do things in the digital space that makes sense. And so a lot of that stuff was brand new, and there's not a whole lot of formal training around some of it, at least at the time. And so we just started experimenting with things, but we had varying degrees of success and ups and downs and some pretty low points along the way. But we eventually kind of said, all right, well, we kind of know how to do some of this stuff and we're pretty good at it, but why don't we try and figure out what aligns with our heart more and what aligns with something that we could see ourselves being a part of, 10, 20, 30 years from now. And especially as you get older, and go from being in your teens and 20s to, starting to understand the world a little better. And country music is everything that we wanted to be a part of as far as faith, family, the music, the messaging, being proud of your country. And yeah, it became a no-brainer.
I don't think you meant to make me feel really old. Let me just tell you what you just did. If I was being asked that question and I was talking about, you don't have to make me feel old. I am now. But when you just said what you said, I'm thinking, when I was growing up, I was sweeping parking lots and mowing grass, and you're talking about digital business. And I'm like, there was no digital business when I was growing up. So it's a unique, just that 10 or 12 year difference between us. There's a quantum leap between what was available for you to do versus 10, 12 years back from me. It's just, in all seriousness, it's like, he just really made me feel old and dumb.
And what's crazy is, like, when we first got started, it was like, even when we were getting going, it was like still that time period where people like, is online shopping safe? Should I don't want my information on the internet and shit like that. And it was like, do businesses need social media?
Yeah.
And obviously we are where we are now, and now it's getting crazy in a different way. But
so when you started and you said, all right, I'm going to just start on this digital platform, I mean, was there a goal or was it just, just kind of tampering and doing
I wish there was a more intelligent plan.
I got you. I got one for you. But I mean, one of the biggest turning points for us, right, is because we were always like trying to sell things online. We got into affiliate marketing. We're doing all that type of stuff where you're marketing other people's products, other companies' products. And then we learned how to start building a community on Facebook. And so that was really kind of the turning point. And that's also when we went from going, hey, instead of selling all the time, we can provide entertainment and education and really get into the content game. And so that was kind of the switch that flipped. And from there, that was really the kick, like I said, the turning point that we were like, okay, let's build this community. Let's entertain the best that we know how. Let's educate people on country music history. And then from there, the goal was like, as soon as we got in the country music business, our goal was to start working with artists. As soon as we had enough of an audience to say, hey, we've got some value to share. And so that goes down a whole nother rabbit hole, but we ended up partnering with a local artist out in San Diego. And
I got a funny story for you. So, all right. So we go, all right, we want to be a part of country music, right? And this is, how do we do that? All right, well, we got to come up with a brand. We got to come up with something, right? We got to figure out something. So try and figure out, all right, what's the brand going to be? What's the name going to be? All that. Freaking GoDaddy and looking for what's available out there and kind of looking at things and, all right, well, Country Rebel is available and nobody's built a brand around this.
What made you think Country Rebel? Who thought that? That had to come from
trial, just
firing.
We wanted
words.
the theme of something edgy and rebellious, and we wanted something obviously country. And so I think that was just kind of a natural progression, but we were going through name after name after name.
We had kind of figured out the idea of, all right, this is the direction, this is the community that we want to be a part of. And we came up with the brand Country Rebel, and just shocked that nobody had created that or touched it and had something in that way. And so we're starting a clothing brand. And so we go and start some social media pages, and we're going to the local concerts out there in San Diego at Sleep Train Amphitheater or Coors Amphitheater, whatever it was at the time. And we started getting a couple followers online, and we're Country Rebel Clothing. And this guy, who's actually one of our best friends to this day, sends us a message. Hey, you guys got any shirts for sale? And we're like, nope.
He goes, well, you're Country Rebel Clothing. So what the fuck?
That is great.
We're like, nope, sure don't.
Still getting there.
Yeah, we're in the beer business. Get your beer, no.
Yeah. We're like, we had 2,000 followers at the time. We were just getting going. And but we ended up becoming best friends with them, and then tailgating, and that lends itself to a whole nother kind of chapter of Country Rebel with these huge tailgate parties we used to throw in
That's
San
the
Diego.
interesting thing about talking with you guys is, especially as an entrepreneur and a business guy myself, you just start going down paths. You're like, well, this will work, this will work.
We've heard that Nashville needs a Texas two-step night. Nashville Palace is dropping the needle on Sunday nights, starting June 7th, highlighting the best of 90s country, specifically for Texas two-step. Sunday night two-step starts at 7:30 with lessons, and you can step all the way to midnight. Nashville Palace has live music and the best DJs for all the best two-step in music. Sundays now have 2 reasons to come to the Palace.
So, and it's not, we like to call here at the Palace, the Mo moment. Come here, Mo, set some food down. And
all right, come on down.
Very Nashville Palace kind of food for you all.
Oh, wow.
This is something special what we do in Nashville Palace a lot, our famous steak. We get it from Evans Meat, which is for locally farmed. We get a rib, and we also have some fried shallots for you with some rosemary potatoes and homemade chimichurri sauce on the side.
Thank you. Looks perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mo.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mo.
Y'all have to come to the Nashville Palace and get some cooking from Mo. Mo, thank you so much for what you do, buddy. It's beautiful. It all looks so
the Mo
beautiful.
moment right there.
Love that.
So while you guys are starting to dig in and eat, it's funny how times change in decades in business, and sometimes faster, sometimes longer. But, you know, there would have been a lot of folks that would have been nervous about using the name Rebel.
Yeah, I think that's why they didn't touch it.
You know, I would think that. That's what I was thinking when you said that. I thought, how the hell
that was
does
right
this
at the
name-
time of cancel culture.
Yep.
And right at the time where you saw the Confederate flag being canceled by everybody.
Yep.
And all kinds of bands going away from it.
Yep.
And
So for you to run towards it, you know, is a unique perspective from
Right.
a business standpoint, and then just, you know, your core, you know, what you feel like you said what you wanted.
It doesn't have to represent, you know, what some people think is racism or
Confederacy or
whatever
whatever.
bullshit.
Yeah.
It can represent just being a rebel and being proud and being, you know, proud of where you're from and your heritage and all that.
Being
You know,
rebellious.
Being willing to take chances,
Yeah.
being willing to do dumb shit and learn from it.
Well,
you know?
I think it's kind of, you know, that's a great point. I think it's like outlaw. You know,
Yeah,
the
right.
word outlaw doesn't
Exactly.
necessarily mean that you are robbing banks and killing people. But at one point, the Jesse James era, he was
Right.
an outlaw. That's what it meant, you know.
So many stereotypes
that's a perfect
names
analogy.
that-
The way that we interpreted Country Rebel as a brand.
Right. I think it's really interesting.
Like, nobody wants to be a square. You know, nobody wants to be boring. Nobody wants to be,
No, not anybody
you know,
with balls.
soft. Nobody wants to be
Everybody wants to
described
be
as soft.
boisterous and
country
outgoing.
soft, country polite.
That's classic. That sounds like maybe a pasta. You know, I don't know what that is.
Sounds like too much whiskey.
No, we've all been that once or twice.
How's the food?
It's delicious.
That's something at the Palace that we've not really focused on in the last few years. A lot of folks don't know that the Palace was started in 1977 by my grandfather, John Hobbs. And what he wanted was to have a great restaurant with really good country music. And it's funny to watch it, how it has evolved through the years, and just the way people go out. And y'all probably experienced this. Bobby certainly worked in the industry long enough to know that we've seen it change. Used to, you would sit down, you would eat, and you would listen to a country music show. Or as they said back then, a country and western show.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like you're there for music, drinking, and food is an afterthought.
Sure.
But I still feel like there's an opportunity in the business world.
Thank you.
For us to say, hey, if you want a great meal and you want music and you want whiskey, the Nashville Palace can be that headquarters. And so Mo and Fish and the guys were really trying to push for 2026 to not just focus so much on line dancing, you know, that we are the best line dancing venue in the city, you know, and we've established that and will continue to be that, but we can also have a great meal. You know, not everybody, like me, I'm one of those guys, not everybody has rhythm and can go dancing, but I know how to drink whiskey and eat a steak. You know,
Yeah.
so
Amen.
I
we're
mean,
kind of
we've,
propping that up.
you know, I love the wings here personally. I will tear down some hot wings here at the Palace or Scoreboard.
It's always good food.
Oh,
In
yeah.
Both places, I mean, you can't go wrong. I have folks coming to town all the time, and they're always asking where to go and where to eat. And I'm like, man, it's right under your nose. You're staying right here in the valley. You go right over to the Scoreboard and go to the Palace, and you get all you want as far
Yeah,
as
you
something
guys
to
are
eat.
always rolling coal out there.
Literally and figuratively in some ways.
Love that.
But yeah, I mean, that's part of what drew us to have the aspirations of this partnership early on is that shared kind of
these are our
sentiment
people.
for the legacy of country music, for true honky tonk culture, for something that's more than, you know, no dig on there's a lot of great establishments on Broadway, but and y'all have some great establishments down there as well, and that's you know, a different thing, and we love those places as well. But the Palace has a special place in country music history,
Difference
and
between
also
a honky tonk and a bar, you know.
Yeah.
And there's only so many honky tonks. It's the old dinosaur
And like Barrett said, everything has changed so much. And I think in the time that I've been here, I've watched it change probably 3 times from going from one thing and going to another. And it always seems to come back around to a degree, but it'll get far-fetched out in some different avenues before it'll kind of come back, you know.
You talking about our midget wrestling?
Well, we can't say that. We have to say micro. Let's say
micro. That's right.
Micro rock.
What about the medieval cage fights?
The medieval cage fights. Remember those?
Oh,
Man,
I thought somebody was done. In one of those.
Yes, I did too.
I was like,
imagine
no way
calling
that
my
person.
insurance.
I was just thinking that's got to be an interesting phone call.
Like,
What are you
jousting
doing?
in here.
Yeah. And I was like, man, it's not real. It's kind of stage, almost like Dungeons and Dragons type of a thing. And I was telling him the truth because I hadn't been to one. And so the girls, you know, they're like, look, we're going to put everything we can in there to make money and continue to try to rebrand the palace. So they literally and figuratively did. And I came in here and I'm watching and I'm like, these aren't Dungeons and Dragons swords. This is real shit.
Chad Elliott is with us, and he was like, man, is this really happening right now? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's really happening. Boom. You can hear the metal, the armor.
this guy's
just
swinging a 40-pound hammer.
Yeah, all
like he was smacking pots and pans, man. It was
Wild shit.
That brings up something I wanted to ask you. I mean, the palace is so iconic and so historic. I think most people know the history of Randy Travis getting his start here as a dishwasher and then singing on stage and whatnot. You have photos of icons from every generation, every decade throughout the palace here. We have Dean Dillon looking over our shoulder right here, like a boss, the absolute man and a songwriting legend. I mean, gosh, there's got to be so many stories and things that you've seen here if these walls could talk.
Oh, Lord. I was so fortunate that when my grandfather developed Music Valley in the early 70s with the Fiddler's Inn, that really, a quick story on that I think you'll really appreciate is the name of Music Valley was actually called Elsie Miller Road. It wasn't Music Valley because it was a field and a pig farm and Rudy's packing sausage. That's what was down here. There wasn't anything.
Amazing.
So not to get too deep in the weeds on it, but it starts the opportunities there. My grandfather took advantage of it with the McCredman family and the Rudy folks that owned, all the property. And Fiddler's Inn was built, the original 50-room building, and it was going to be a Scottish Inns. And we had a Scottish Inns. I wasn't even born. I was -5 at that point, I think. And my grandfather had a Scottish Inns where Nick Saban's Mercedes facility is at Briley Parkway and 40. And back then the Scottish Inns were kind of the prelude of maybe a Holiday Inn, first. That was kind of the Roadhouse Hotel. Okay. So they were going to open up a Scottish Inns down here, and Roy Acuff pulled up because they were in the middle of looking at the site for the Grand Ole Opry to move from the Ryman to out here. So Mr. Acuff came up in the middle of the construction, was talking to my grandfather, and everybody called him Johnny. And he said, Johnny, he goes, man, I don't know about building this inn out here in the middle of this field. He goes, but tell you what, you keep building the inn and I'm going to go back to fiddling. And he turns around, walks off. And my grandfather said, that's the name of the hotel, the Fiddler's Inn. So at the very beginning of Music Valley, before it was Music Valley, country music and a song and a fiddle player and what you're talking about, the story started literally before the building was built. When it was mud and gravel, Fiddler's Inn arrived. And then in 1977, the palace started. And you're right, the stories that my grandfather, I started working, I was born in 73, and I started sweeping parking lots down here when I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
And so when Randy was at the palace, I was taking out trash, sweeping parking lots, pulling weeds, I wish I only had to pull 3, as y'all were talking about earlier.
It was a minimum 3. It was a minimum 3.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to use weed eaters, so we were really pulling. So I've been blessed. When I grew up, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I would fish with Porter Wagner. I would fish with Little Jimmy Dickens. I knew Johnny Russell, Jim Ed Brown, Jack Green, Jack's wife, June. Wow. That whole era, Billy Walker, all of those people that, when you hear George Jones sing about who's going to fill their shoes, those people that he sang about, the Wabash Cannonball, people don't even know what that is now. I knew it was a song, and then it was a damn roller coaster. People just thought it was a roller coaster, and no, it's Roy Acuff's song. So the stories from Music Valley are
Bobby was telling us a little bit of one.
I've been here. I've heard a ton of the stories from the old days. I've heard Barrett's stories. I've heard Barrett's dad's stories. I've even heard some stories from your grandfather about this valley. And since then, I've learned a little bit more about the valley and outside the music, even down Pennington Bend. But being here since 2000, I probably started working with Barrett and probably met Barrett in 2003 or so, and started working with Barrett doing some odd and end jobs. We had some catering things, and we all knew musicians because that was kind of everything I moved here for, was to songwriter, play music. And so I was into some of the stuff downtown and then out here. And then, of course, I was bartending and serving just to make a living. I was here from Florida. And the people that I met along the way, I have my own stories, and I've learned stories from them as well. And there's books and books that could be written about the actions and the things that have happened in this valley that are special, wild, crazy, and some of them just make you cry. Just awesome, just unbelievable. I've said it for years, being here, and as we've built the scoreboard deck, and we built this, and we did this, and we built some bars downtown, that Music Valley always has a heartbeat. And it always has had a heartbeat. And it for a little while, it kind of died out, but it's back. Barrett and them have worked their butts off over here with the Palace and bringing the Palace back to life, and the music that's here in Music Valley now. Guests that come to town, they go downtown and they're like, man, I just want to go somewhere I can sit on a bar stool and listen to some country music. And like, man, go here.
Hard to find.
And once they come here, they very rarely go back downtown again. They're like, man, if I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to spend it out here because this is where I can relate and this is what I can feel. Some of the artists we've got to spend time with, guys like Daryl Singletary, we do the tribute here every year, and I've been blessed to be able to host it every year. And me and Barrett both knew Daryl, and we'd have nights on the small deck at Scoreboard where, Barrett would fry up a bunch of crappie that his dad caught. Daryl would show up in shorts and flip-flops, and we'd sit up acoustic on the – and I'm talking 20 people out there, and we picked music until the bar was actually closed inside, and we're still out there playing music, eating crappie and playing music and just having a good time. Stories go on and on. We could sit here all day and tell just some great stories about the valley.
Alan Jackson's final concert ever. And Nashville Palace has 2 tickets to give away. Live Thursday, May 28th at the Silver Belly Whiskey Bottle Signing at the Nashville Palace with Maddie Jackson. That's right, one day for the last time. A bottle signing and ticket giveaway with the Nashville Palace and Silver Belly Whiskey. Visit all Nashville Palace social media pages for further details.
That's right. So with you guys, you had to make a shift at some point. Yeah. And I'm always interested to know about the bridge to Nashville. And that would be just an interesting podcast in itself, just to talk to people about what got you from wherever you had your beginnings to get here. So how'd you get here?
We love poker, Texas Hold'em.
Okay.
And it's actually a little bit of a family tradition.
This isn't Texas, right?
No, okay. No, but
so, I also don't know where he's going with this. So
well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you where I'm going.
Would you just wake up with your ear, Kevin? Oh, what the hell?
I've never heard it as a Texas Hold'em analogy, but I'm here for it.
You figure it. Here it goes. So, it's a bit of a family tradition. We played at Christmas every year. It's been a little harder to get back together now that we're out here and we got a farm and a ranch, 30 acres to take care of, and animals and all this stuff. And so basically it's one of my favorite moves. It's the all-in move. And it's just pushing your chips all in and going with your gut and knowing that, hey, if we're going to do this, we got to do this.
Got to do it.
And we were at a point where it made sense. We had built up enough success and enough relationships and enough times coming out here.
But you're still in San Diego.
Still in San Diego,
okay.
But we're flying out here and doing productions with 30 artists at a time and setting up on location, which, you know, is a whole rabbit hole to kind of go down and tell you how all that came about. But long story short, we kind of reached a point where it was like, hey, you know, we're only going to get so far being country rebel out in San Diego. And, you know, it's kind of like back in the day, you wanted to be in movies, you moved to LA. You want to be in country music, you moved to Nashville, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we said, all right, well, we've been doing this for, I don't know, 5 or so years, something like that. We had built a brand, built relationships and enough respect in the community to where it was like, all right, you know, we're both single at the time. No better time.
That makes it easier.
Come on.
You know, neither one of us was tied down necessarily. Like
That's your tie to Texas Hold'em. Is you said you were all in.
all in.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right.
I figured out where he's going
Did
pretty
you
quick.
get that?
I figured out where he's going pretty quick, and he's also notorious for that when he doesn't have the greatest hand, but he goes off of feeling.
Yeah.
Which is what we did. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
The river will
although
flow.
we did have a great hand. You know, we had a lot of relationships. We had worked with a lot of different artists. But it was tough, like trying to catch people when they're coming through San Diego and they only have a certain amount of time. And if they're bigger artists, they're playing the amphitheater a certain amount of way. And so, like he said, we were doing a lot of productions out here, but there was a lot of missed opportunities at the same time where it was like the timing just didn't work out. Now we got to try to catch you when you're in town next year, or we got to try to align the one. We used to come out here during country radio seminar was our big week because we knew everyone was in media mode. So we would just align our schedule to bring our production team out and find a place to shoot.
CRS, what a great thing in the old days. It was so important. I mean, and Bobby, I know you got CRS stories.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was
always at the bridge, you know, down there at the what hotel was it? The Renaissance that was down there, and that was where everybody went, and where they had interviews. And at night, you could hang out in that bridge bar up there, and that's where everybody was. That was my CRS in my CRS days.
Man,
and you guys talked about you had your tailgate parties or your parties in San Diego, so y'all probably made a little bit of a meeting with some people that you used later on, probably from having that. Because
we got shut down by Live Nation.
I'm betting you guys in your tailgate parties in San Diego, you guys became quite popular.
Well, we started
pretty
throwing,
fun.
Yes.
We were like, all right, everybody's starting to, you know, get together on a tailgate. Why don't we juice this up just a little bit?
There you go.
Why don't we, you know,
Sounds familiar.
the DJ that already comes out here, DJ Cam, shout out. Why don't we, you know, put some equipment together and get a canopy and kind of just give it a little bit, you know, not too much, but it was already kind of happening on its own, but we kind of just juiced it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it got bigger, and then it got bigger, and then
you were smart enough to take it and apply it to coming to Nashville and making more out of it.
Well, we were still building the media side at the same time, but we loved the culture so much that we were like, we want to be boots on the ground. And so it was all so organic how it happened. Like our buddy Cam was DJing and he was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. We're like, well, we'll invest in this. We'll make this, let's grow this thing. And we don't know what we even want out of it. Just yell Country Rebel at the end of the party or something, you know?
Right. At the end of the party.
That's kind of what we did.
That's when you know you don't have a plan. At the end of the party,
just yell it.
That's classic.
You know, we'll throw out a couple T-shirts.
We'll give
Not at the beginning when everybody's there, but when everybody's shit-faced at the end.
We'll give away $1,000 worth of merch and have no idea on how to recoup. We'll
So
figure it
y'all
out,
are
I
running the
guess.
funnel of beer for people, and then going, "Hey man, we're going to catch you for an interview in Nashville." Right?
That kind of was like, you know, our primitive idea of building the brand.
Sure.
And just kind of getting the name out there and getting people to, you know, want to love the brand and what we were doing. It, you know, eventually got too big, and Live Nation was like, you guys can't really do something that's not a sanctioned event.
Y'all became a threat to them to a degree.
I don't know.
I think we were more of a liability.
There's a fine line.
I think they were like, there's hundreds of people here before the show. We don't have security for this.
Bad press is good press.
And I mean, that's kind of a good segue too, because what started happening is our local venue out in San Diego, they kind of caught wind of it, and they wanted everyone to go back to their venue after the concerts at the amphitheater. And so they started bussing people in to these parties that we had grown, and then of naturally bussing them back to the venue to after party. And so, I mean, we were starting to pay for photographers. We had trucks pulled up that were wrapped in Country Rebel. We had canopies. We had the DJ set up legit at this point. And eventually that was when Live Nation was like, okay, this is turning into a professional scene here.
It's not just a couple guys with a keg of beer.
Yeah.
A name with no shirts. That's the best ever.
Another funny thing on that note is, you know, our buddy Austin, who was the first one to ever ask us if we had clothing, we said no, even though we're Country Rebel clothing, which since then, this is kind of an original design here. We've rebranded as just Country Rebel now because so many people forever thought we were just clothing. And we're really a media company, a clothing company, a record label now. We've got one artist we work with. We do acoustic productions. We have a venue that we rent out. So there's so much more to what we do than clothing.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, you guys sound like you're both smart enough to apply it and add those extra avenues to where you can have a form of a revenue and then have a platform for somebody who plays
revenue
music
would be
to
nice.
put, you know,
We don't
to
always
put it
have
on.
the revenue. We but
Sounds
we
like
kinda,
the bar business.
Yeah, we're just, you know, we're open to ideas.
Yeah.
And figuring things out, and you know, that's just anything in life. I feel like is. You know, whether you're an artist who doesn't know where your career is going to go and whether or not you're going to make it big enough to be on tour and support your family, or entrepreneur, or because it's all entrepreneurship in a way. And so, you know, it's just being willing to go after it.
Sure.
And take that risk.
When you guys look back, I mean, you know, we touched on it earlier with Randy Travis and the Palace. A lot of people think that was the needle, and often feel like there's a person, there's a moment, there's something that throws a trigger. And actually for the Palace originally, it was Jerry Reed, that my grandfather had cut a deal with Marty Robbins, and it was going to be Marty Robbins' Nashville Palace. And the Opry got pissed. And they said, and Marty was as big of a star, name a star today, and that's how big he was.
Yeah.
For
Marty
country
Robbins
music
spotlight.
at that point, Marty Robbins was the dude. And so him and my grandfather became friends, and he said, we want to do this club across from the Opry, and it's called Marty Robbins Nashville Palace. Opry says, if you do that, that's the only stage you can play on. You can't play on the Opry anymore. So Marty goes to my granddad, and at the time, you couldn't have a career without the Opry. There was no alternative.
Right.
If you weren't on the Opry, you were dead. Right. So it's not like today that you could survive without the Opry. Everybody wants the Opry, Back then, that wasn't the case in '76. So Marty meets with my grandfather, and he says, John, I'm in a pickle. I've signed this contract with you, but it's going to end my career. And the whole purpose of me being in business was because of my draw. And if I don't have the Opry, I don't think I'm going to be a draw. And John A. said, well, that's fine. He just grabbed the contract, tore it up, dropped it in the trash can, said, we're good. Marty couldn't believe it, that he just let him out, but he just let him out. That's the way my grandfather was. So he called Sam Lavella, who was the original writer and producer of Hee Haw. The entire show, Sam Lavella was Hee Haw. And he said, man, I got to find somebody, And he said, man, there's this great guitar picker, and he's going to come out in a movie next year, and I think this movie is really going to do well. And then John A. said, who is it? He says, Jerry Reed. He says, hell, I've heard about him. He's kind of, Chet Atkins has worked with him some. And yeah, hell of a guitar picker. He goes, what do you think? He goes, comes out in a movie and it's big, you get the free ride. John A. said, all right, set it up. So Jerry Reed comes in and talks, and Jerry was a broke guitar player, just glad to be a part of anything. Jerry Reed's Nashville Palace. And that was really when Smokey and the Bandit came on. Obviously, it was a smash, and the rest is history. Mm-hmm. Then there was a little bit of renegotiating about how much Jerry thought his name was worth. He had a 3-year deal with us, and Smokey and the Bandit 2 was coming out, and he thought his name was worth a lot more. And John A. said, well, just paint over Jerry's name and put the word "the." And that's where the Nashville Palace came from, because it was Jerry Reed's Nashville Palace. And the reason I tell that story is between Smokey and the Bandit and Randy Travis and Alan Jackson and Ricky and Lori and all the great people that helped the Palace along, Smokey and the Bandit and Randy were our needles. When you look back at Country Rebel, what drove the need? What was that one thing? And I'm curious if y'all would.
It's already loaded.
I feel like
y'all already know both.
It's already loaded. We probably could, and we're not twins. So there's a few people, and I'll try to make a long story short here, but I kind of hinted at earlier, there was a local country artist that we first started working with, and we just wanted anything to do with any artist, because we were just starting to grow an audience. And so his name's Kyle Setter, so I'll shout him out. He's not producing country music anymore, but phenomenal guy.
Kyle, what was his last name?
Kyle Setter.
Setter.
And he was actually out of San Diego. And it's kind of crazy, when we first messaged him, I was like, we were pretty small at the time, and I said, hey, man, I don't know how serious you are about this country music thing, but we're going to blow up, and we'd love to work together. And it was kind of cocky to say at the time, to be honest, but we ended up working with him, working his merch table, creating shirts for him. We just wanted to have anything to do with it, Yeah. And then he opened a show at the House of Blues for two of our best friends to this day, which is Stephen Barker Lyles and Eric Gunnarsson of Love and Theft.
Yeah.
And so
I got a good nipple story.
That's how I know we're talking about the same person.
Yeah.
Great guys, type of guys that'll literally, help other people before they'll literally do anything to help somebody else, progress in their career. And so we worked with them and started, really helping them with their social media at that time, because that was our strength. It was how to market, how to grow socials. And that became what we call our gateway drug to Nashville, because they were on Vector Management. And then from there, we had opportunities. We did well with them. And then we had opportunities with Aaron Lewis, Drake White, who we discussed a little bit, Trace Adkins, Leonard Skinner. And so those were
like that,
Wow.
After we had kind of built our reputation and a good relationship with Vector Management, we were like, okay, it's game on.
Now, were all those artists under Vector?
They were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
Wow.
Hank Jr. was also there.
That's a
I don't know if he's still there.
I don't know.
Where is Hank Jr.? Where's he at right now?
He's probably in the front
Probably in
room.
Paris, Tennessee.
Probably
in the
at
front room.
right now.
He's probably in Paris wanting to make sure his power don't go out in the
So you guys
snowstorm.
brought it on to Nashville from there. That's
after a few years. So that kind of started things, and we started building relationships from that point, and we started coming out here and meeting with people and doing CRS and figuring out, you know, and that's from starting with no idea, not from the music community, not any sort of music education background, no idea how to produce or understand the ebbs and flows of any
no
of it.
total no one directive direction, but just knowing you wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. And all right, you know, and even, you know, we're like he's saying what Kyle said, we're like, hey, we'll design your shirts and shit. We'll print them, I think, and even help sell them and work the table for free just to start, you know, it, because when you're from the fan side of things, which is really kind of where we started, is just being fans of country music and the community and wanting to be a part of it, is, you know, just like you're starstruck. You're, you know, the artist is, you know, it's a big deal to be invited back to the green room or to hang or have a personal relationship of some kind with an artist. And so, you know, from there, with Steven and Eric and Love and Theft and Willie Boy.
Shout out Willie Boy.
You know, they brought us in and kind of bridged that gap for us. And so
there's always somewhere, and you hear people say he's a self-made man or a self-made woman. There's not such a thing.
No.
Somebody somewhere has reached down and made that bridge connection. And anybody that's owned their own business or built something has a unique perspective on what that means. And not saying that working for a company for 50 years and retiring, all working for a big company, you don't have someone help you along the corporate ladder. But the entrepreneurial ladder is totally different. And if you
it's damn chutes and ladders.
You're right. Yeah, it is. And until you've done it,
There's
I can
more
look
slides
at you
than
boys
ladders.
in the eyes and know. And Bobby's built. I'll give a good shout out right here, old bush hogging Bobby. You know, if you got food plots, you got fields that need to be made that are currently woods, you got to call bush hogging Bobby.
That's right.
So, you know, but in all seriousness, looking at you guys, when I say those things, I can look right in your eyes and I can see the wheels turning and the memories of so-and-so, you know, did this and did that. So, you know, we've kind of come around the block on this story. So you get to Nashville, those are your connections that get you here. And it's just kind of snowballed. And now today, the numbers that you described at the early part of this show, you know, are rival anybody. You know, you're in the upper echelon, which is tremendous. You're in the major leagues of influence when it comes to branding and partnerships and networking. So if you had to kind of put it in one sentence and you said to be part of the Country Rebel family, and you had to have a slogan, kind of like Nike has, just do it. Or our buddy you mentioned earlier, Chad Belding, you know, he's got a podcast and it's called This Life's Not for Everyone.
Right.
And basically that show's about being on the road and shooting a hunting show. And everybody thinks, man, I'd love to make a living duck hunting. Well, get your ass out here. Let me show you what
this life ain't for everybody.
It is not.
Right.
And what you guys do, quoting Chad, it's not for everybody. What does it mean? What's the T-shirt slogan for being part of Country Rebel family?
So our slogan and the tagline for Country Rebel is Unapologetically Country. And so, you know, for me, that's being unapologetic in who you are, unapologetic in what you've pursued and what you go after, and just kind of a mantra in life. Because if you're sitting around waiting for permission or approval, you're just gonna get dogged down, and you're gonna overthink.
Just gotta be yourself.
Yeah.
Roll.
And
Unapologetically.
And sure, being from California, being from San Diego, oh, you guys aren't country. Oh, you guys aren't this. You guys shouldn't be here. You guys shouldn't be that. I don't give a shit. It's unapologetic in what we're doing. And, for the values
That's another T-shirt, man. It's the second one. I'm just going to tell you, I'm stealing it. That's just the way it is.
for country music, it's the stories, the songs, but it's so much more. It's for me, it's the community, it's pride in country, it's being proud of our troops, our military, and it's bigger than the music. Country music represents more than just the music to me, and it represents the country.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Introducing the first event of its kind, the Champions Tournament by World Bass Enterprises. The top 25 anglers from the Elite Series and BPT have a 3-day battle for a first-place prize of $1.25 million to crown a true world champion. Held in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee, this isn't your average tournament. This showdown features a massive trade show at the Gaylord Opryland, live concerts from some of the biggest names, and every special moment streamed live for the world to see. Welcome to the Champions Tournament.
So, y'all mentioned earlier, and Bobby brought his name in. I'd like Bobby to talk about our friend Drake White. I know y'all have a series. I don't want to chop it up, and I didn't bring notes on purpose, but the campfire sessions, is that the correct name?
So we did a fireside session.
There you go. I knew I had it off, but I was close. And Drake was one of your
may have shortly done campfire sessions after that.
Yeah. Oops.
Imitation's the finest form of flattery.
It is. There's no original ideas anymore.
But yeah, I mean, we love Drake. He's been, he was going back to Love and Theft and Vector Management. He was part of the Vector team at that time, or part of the roster at that time. And he's always been so good to us. And he's obviously gone through his own chutes and ladders in life, if you will. And so, but he's always been a guy we can count on. We've always been guys that he can count on, and we just have a mutual respect and a really special history. Like some of the first sessions we ever did are still some of our best. And 2 of those sessions were actually filmed in Columbus, Ohio at the Bluestone, which is an old church that's been turned
Shout out to Hank
Stratty.
Yeah.
And the 2 sessions we did there were Aaron Lewis and Drake White. And we're still chasing that high because both those guys are phenomenal. I mean, they're phenomenal musicians, phenomenal artists, and great people. And we all share the same values amongst our the whole collective there. And, he lives 15, 20 minutes down the road from us now. He's got his own venue down there, and his beautiful family down there. And we've been able to go over there and see some of his private shows for his most loyal fans there and things like that.
We've chased turkeys on that ridge behind the house.
Have you?
Yeah. After the stroke and all, too. Yeah. Going up down them hills with Drake, we'd be like, come on, man.
Bobby, tell some of the old tractor stories about Drake.
So Drake, but for a long time, Drake had a tractor service for a while, and then he sold it off to Willie. Y'all may have met a guy named Willie that kind of runs the tractor thing. Drake might not even talk about his tractor thing so much, but Drake I lived in East Nashville. I had a house that I rented for like $500 a month, and this is back then. It was so great.
East Nashville for $500.
It was a 1-bedroom house, had my own yard, everything. And Drake moved to town. We were all playing losers on Monday nights, and Drake had moved to town, and our buddy Jared Foster was like, man, this guy named Drake wants to play music with us. And I was like, yeah, come on, whatever. And Drake was working a construction job like down towards Murfreesboro. He was like doing some kind of construction, playing music, and it turned out he bought a house that was right around the corner from where I lived right there in East Nashville. Oh, wow. So we'd leave losers nights where sometimes sun was coming up, and we would be like, "You driving or I'm driving?" I'd be like, "I'll drive," or he'll drive, because we knew we were right around the corner from each other. Sometimes we didn't even make it to each other's house; we'd crash at one or the other's house. But Drake's been a good friend since he moved to town. We were guys just learning, and I was probably here a long time before he was, but just learning our way on where to go and what to do. But he would run a tractor, and I'd come and work for Barrett, and we'd get in the middle. Like, I'd be late for coming to light the smoker in the mornings, but I'd always have a great story to call Barrett and say, "Man, we were babysitting Dean Dillon last night." So, well, man, that's a pretty good excuse. That's a good excuse. But no, we all kind of grew and went, and there was times where those guys took off and they were gone for a long time. We always kept in touch, and then like you said, Drake's life has had some ups and downs and some ladders, and that was something that scared us all when he went through his whole stroke deal. But we were there. I mean, we went to see him in the hospital when he finally got back here, and I think we're closer now because of all of that. Even before we were then, we talk on the phone quite a bit. And usually it's about hunting or what, man, where should I put this deer stand, or right. What should I do in in this part. But Drake's a great guy. We were building the deck of the scoreboard, and I remember Barrett going, "Who's this guy coming up here drinking all of our beer, man? He's every bucket of beer we got coming out here, this guy's drinking 2 or 3. Who is this guy?" And I was like, "Man, that's Drake. That's our buddy Drake." A little later on in the years, Drake got to, I think at that time he was doing stuff with Zach Brown and going on the road with them. And Drake always had his own style.
Yeah.
That's how we knew Drake was going to be.
The soul.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about Drake. He was so broke, if it took a dollar to get around the world, he couldn't get out of sight. I mean, he would call Bobby and say, "Bobby, he had a tractor contract to go up and cut like the cell phones or TVA towers or something." Yeah. And I mean, he had a junk tractor, a junk trailer, and a truck that was more junky. And this guy was playing, anywhere he could play music, and busting his ass to make $50, and then drive a tractor, and his tractor would break. So he'd call Bobby. So, "Bobby, my truck's broke down." So Bobby would either borrow my truck or get in somebody else's truck and go move Drake's shit around. And then Drake would show up, like he's talking about, at the deck. And we would just sit at the end of the evenings. The deck wasn't even built. We kind of had a hodgepodge area with
we had work belts on with speed squares and pencils.
And we would sit out there and work our ass off all day, and then drink beer till the wee hours of the morning, get up and do it again the next day. Hell, we were young and could do it and sweat our asses off. And Drake would show up, and he'd been sweating his ass off, and we'd just sit around and drink buckets of beer. And he could drink cold beer. I'll give him credit. He wasn't big as a minute back then, but he could put them away. He had a hollow leg. And we would sit around and just shoot the shit. He kind of did his career's kind of gone on. And since we are talking about him, Bobby and I were down at Ryman not too long ago, and I wanted to make sure I said it correctly, that his charity is Benefit for the Brain. And I don't know if you guys were at the Ramen show recently, but it was.
I was.
All of our other friends, John Party was down there, and everybody pitched in. Chad came in, and we made a donation, and Chad's company and the Palace to help him out. And when you stood around in the Ramen and you looked, it almost felt like a revival. Of good people that had a whole bunch of give a shit about them. Not only about Drake, but anybody in that's had a challenge with the brain. It's kind of one thing to lose your foot. You got another one. Your brain gets damaged. You're in trouble. So it was interesting when I was looking back about you guys, and I saw his name pop up. And the years go by, and it's like, man, that guy's been around a while now, and we're all getting a little bit, few more sunsets behind us. And I know Bobby was is so close to him that I just thought it was a good opportunity to mention his charity. And if somebody's looking to do something for a charity, boy, that's a worthwhile.
And I didn't realize either when we went to the show for the benefit of the brain, I knew that a lot was going on. My wife has had some strokes in the past, and then Drake with his stroke. But the benefit for the brain was for much more than just strokes. It was psychological.
Yeah.
Guys that, PTSD, guys that, that have been in the military, that have gone through things. And it was so much more to just certain addictions that were mental that they talked about that I didn't even realize it was all that to it. To me, it was just let's go and let's, help our buddy Drake, who's been through these things. Let's go and do this thing. But I learned so much by being there. It's a great thing. It's an awesome thing. It is.
Cool thing is we've been fortunate. I don't get starstruck, other than Dolly walking through the room.
Sure.
It kind of takes something for me to go, holy mackerel, But we're standing backstage and talking to everybody, and we're in John Party's the dressing room, and here comes Randy Owen, walking through, and everybody we were all cutting up, and Randy walks in the room, and it's like, ooh, the main man is in the room now. Yeah. And it was just such a great night of caring and
good people.
And I'm glad Bobby brought up the PTSD, and I brought up military. Now y'all are veterans.
Our older brother, our dad, and our grandpa have served. Darin and I have not.
Okay, so you're like me. You're one of the lucky ones that we had other people in our family, plow the field. I've always had a ton of respect. My grandfather was a card-carrying liar of World War II. He volunteered when he was 14, lied, said he was 18, and then went to battle in World War II when he was 15.
Oh, wow.
And skipped junior high and high school, did it over there. But y'all's dedication to the military, if you don't mind, share a little bit other than your family connection. Talk to us a little bit about military and why it's important to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the pillars of what we believe, what we love to support, is the men and women out there, and, even beyond the military, of course, first responders. But we're always looking for Nashville is just, you guys know this, preaching to the choir here, but Nashville is one of the best cities in the world, if not the best city in the world, I think, for the community and the talent that's able to support the military, have real specialized programs, whether it's special operators transitioning, shout out SOTF, Special Operators Transition Fund, SOX. We've done some great things with Special Operators Excursions. There's Creative Vets. There's so many great organizations here. Y'all partner with a lot of them. We've been blessed to partner with a lot of them. And, we're always just looking for a way that we can plug in, contribute. And one of the things that's always stood out to me is, we also just have a lot of friends that have served. And one of our good friends, Josh Amos, said, I think we were sitting in my kitchen years ago, and he said, look, not everyone has to serve, but if you don't serve, be an American worth fighting for.
That's a hell of a line.
And that really stuck with me, So
it is.
We've always tried to be those type of people. I think that everyone should try to be that type of American. And it doesn't mean that you have to be involved with these different organizations, but, carry yourself in a way that, would make
We're
your
also blessed.
person.
We're also blessed to be in, and, our country, there's a ton of people that bitch about it. There really is.
Man.
But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. If you go and you look at some other countries, and I haven't been there. I've read about them. I've seen them. I've watched any common sense would tell you, you go somewhere else and you come back here, you go, man, this is where I want to be. I mean, our country America is amazing. I mean, it's the best. It's the
best country in the world.
And like you said, even if you haven't served, our country is worth fighting for. And I'll go to my grave fighting for it. There's no doubt about that at all.
So as we, have enjoyed chatting with you guys, I want to make sure as the folks that are listening, tell us what the next chapter is. And as you're telling that, we've got a great new tequila, and you guys are fans of tequila. and we've got a brand that we're partnering with, and this is a non-scripted taste test. It's like the new version of the Pepsi Challenge. We're going to find out one way or another. This could go really good for this company, or this could go really bad for this company. So they wanted it. Here you go. I'm going to pour us up a tequila, but as I'm kind of getting that ready, tell everybody what's the next chapter in Country Rebel. Even if you don't have it scripted yet, where do you see you guys? What's the next door you're going to open? Because you've opened so many doors. There's no doubt in my mind right now, between y'all's ears, either individually or joint, y'all have got 50 doors you're thinking, we ought to go down this one. Give us a sneak peek in Country Rebel in 2026.
Okay. Yeah, it's as you can tell, it's been a lot of unscripted up to this point, and along the way, we really haven't known where we've been going and where we're going to go next. And if you would have told me, several years ago, oh, you guys would be out in Nashville, on a 30-acre ranch, and some of the biggest stars in the world would be shooting their music videos out there, and Lee Greenwood would be driving his bus out there, and you guys would be doing a acoustic performance of God Bless the USA on site in your own production facility. I've been like, well, I would have not believed it. Yeah. Because I don't think that way, but I would have been surprised. So, as far as what's next, Kevin mentioned it earlier. We have started a record label as well, and we've started working with artists.
I saw that. I read that.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. When are we doing an artist night at the Nashville Palace? A Country Rebel artist night. We got to put that together.
Yes, we do.
Country Rebel Records.
How the hell did we not
artist
night?
We've talked about it.
Well,
we've talked about it, but
we're
it's
going
time
on
to
the record now.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll solidify it with a shot of tequila right here. How about that?
There you go. So we're going to try Quintaliza. Help me with that. Y'all can probably do it.
Quintaliza.
Kevin sounds better than I do.
We grew up, a stone's throw from Mexico, so it was kind of made sense to learn Spanish instead of French.
So this is a Reposado finished in American oak coffee barrels from Chiapas, Mexico. So I probably slaughtered that.
Chiapas, Mexico.
Here's barrels. The Nashville Palace Podcast, the partnership with Country Rebel, y'all's success. Y'all guys are not only country rebels, but you're an American rebel story. So,
here's to doing what we love.
That's
for sure. Thank y'all.
Now, let's just hope it's good.
Not brought to you by Duolingo.
Guys, having y'all here, to hear your story, to sum it up, you guys have just hustled and you've worked and you believed in what you believe in, and you've done what you've done, what you've enjoyed doing, and it's carried you a great distance. And man, I wish y'all the best going forward. And I'm here. If there's anything that I can help you guys with, I want to make sure you guys have my contact too, because I run around this town and I hustle too. I love to hustle. So if there's anything I can help you guys with, and it seems like we know a lot of the same people, and I'm not so sure that I haven't met y'all somewhere before.
It's got to be here
in some Christmas party capacity.
Definitely here.
Everybody meets at the Christmas party.
I have enjoyed talking to y'all. In fact, I've made it a point to come and talk to y'all before we even did the podcast, and it's man, it's great. I totally feel like I met two new friends. So.
Thank you, brother. It's been an honor.
Yes, thank y'all so much.
If you don't mind, Barrett, can I toss you one?
Sure,
real quick before we wrap?
We got time. Okay. Whatever you want to do.
Because there's one question I've been thinking about for a few minutes here, and you talked a little bit about the history of the Palace, but and we've been playing chutes and ladders, just kind of winging it. But you're really the steward of a legacy here. What does the Palace mean to you, and how do you think that's evolved into this chapter?
Man, that's an interesting question. no matter what I've done, and I've done not done that much by any means, but even if I go on vacation, growing up, and then when I have my own businesses down here, the first place I would come to is Music Valley. I would come back home, drop my bags. Even if I didn't have something to do, I felt like I had to ride the properties. And, you know, my grandfather developed 26 companies on this side of Opryland Theme Park that's now Gaylord and Opry Mills and all that. So it's kind of hard to put into words what it means to me because it's so much a part of me. I don't know. It's like an appendage. You know, if, you know, you hear about folks that lose an arm and they always feel like they've still got that arm, even though it's not there. The Palace and Music Valley is in my blood, literally and figuratively. I was born within 2 years of my grandfather's development down here. And so I don't know anything but this place. So I'd like to have some type of story that said, man, you know, I was sitting on a back of a tailgate. My granddad told me a story, and it was my granddad said, go cut grass. And my dad worked under him, and my uncles, and it's just woven into the fabric of what I am, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you know, you've got some people, and we kind of talked about it earlier, Bobby and I, before we started today, and I don't even remember the topic, but it was, you know, sometimes people are jealous or, you know, want to knock you off whatever small hill you're on or pedestal. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my family was fortunate, but we weren't given anything. You know, my grandfather, as I said earlier, went to World War II, didn't get past 7th grade, and never went to high school, and did really well for himself, and gave us the opportunities to earn a living. He didn't give us anything. And so that little sliver of the Palace is part of my family's heritage. You almost feel obligated to steward that, and that's a good word y'all used. That not because I feel like it's for me or I want anything out of it. It's like there's a whole lot of musicians, a whole lot of songwriters, a whole lot of cooks, a whole lot of bartenders that were part of the Palace. Mindy Miller, we were talking to her earlier, and she's part of our Nashville Palace family and going on to great success. And it's like, man, if I didn't do it, I would feel like I was letting down their hard work. So I don't know if that kind of answers it. There's not an easy answer to that. I feel like I'm blessed to have the opportunity, and the least I could do was give it a college try.
Well, I think it's clear you're doing a great job of that, and that's, you know, part of our recurring theme is community and family, and, you know, it's clear that the Palace is a family, not just the people that come here. The people
I identify the same way
work
too.
Here.
Like with
Thank you.
Kevin,
I appreciate that.
Is just, you know, what would you guys do if you weren't doing Country Rebel at this point? What, you know, you could do anything. I'm just like, I don't know what I would do. I really don't. Yeah. And you know, I love what we do. I love being part of this community with y'all. I love the smell of a honky tonk.
That's right.
I love the energy of it. I love everything about it. And so, you know, there's not really any other place I'd rather be. And
well, and I appreciate that, and we feel the same way. And recently, when Christy reached out to you guys about a new partnership that I think is going to kind of take us in another direction together, is, you know, y'all's joint sponsorship with the Palace with Hayden Gaddis on the Bassmaster Opens Trail. You know, I don't know. I assume y'all have seen the boat. The boat looks badass.
It looks awesome. It does.
You know, it's got Country Rebel all up on the side of it, and Hayden's such a fine, genuine human being that I feel confident he's going to be successful. And to put, I'm very particular about where I would put a brand, but to put it on Bassmaster Trail and have y'all's brand and our brand out there together, I thought, man, this is going to be fun. You know, put a little money behind this guy, and I think he's going to do great things, and it'll be fun to see on the weekends.
Yes, it is.
Where's the Country Rebel Nashville Palace bass boat? You know, and I just think that's cool.
That is cool, and we appreciate the opportunity, and it's that's what it's all about too. Is it's like building that community, amplifying people that are already talented, whether it's musicians, whether it's somebody out there catching bass. Whether that's somebody that's making amazing food, shout out Mo again.
Yeah, big Mo.
I mean, and that's what it's all about. You know?
Well, guys, I can't thank you enough. And Bobby, you want to take us out? It's been a great day, and
it's been awesome. I mean, you might feel like you sat down at a well-seasoned podcast, and when you sit down with me and Barrett, you're going to
a bunch of goofballs.
Right? We can get. I'm sure as we get more comfortable and go along, we're going to get a little crazy. And I'm very surprised at myself because I haven't said a single cuss word in the past 4 or 5 hours.
Let it out. Let it out.
Yeah, go.
And I'm normally just saying whatever in the fuck I want to say. So being that we're country rebels, by God, I just said
unapologetic.
Unapologetically country. Yep. I'm definitely country. I was born and raised country. It's a pleasure to be a part of the Nashville Palace Podcast, where the stars drop in, and you guys are stars. Country Rebel, the Blue Brothers.
Thank you, brother.
That's for sure. Thank y'all for being here. On behalf of me, I'm Bobby Johnson, Barrett Hobbs, the Blue Brothers. Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
That was fun.